Welcome back to Capitol Review. I'm Mark Hall. Lawmakers have returned from recess, and Maryland Congressman Glenn Ivey is looking at reintroducing the Floyd Justice and Policing Act. Joining us now is Congressman Glenn Ivey. Congressman, welcome back to Capitol Review.
Thanks for having me.
We're always glad to have you. Before we talk about the Floyd Justice and Policing Act, what's your reaction to the shooting and murder of conservative activist Charlie Kirk?
Well, it's tragic and frightening. I didn't know much about Mr. Kirk before news flashed of his assassination, but you know, I think it's important for us right now to recognize we're at a very critical moment here in the United States. You know, political violence and violence of any kind, especially aimed at suppressing speech, is totally unacceptable. We need to stand together in pushing against that. You know, President Trump's statements were frankly a little one-sided. I don't know if he's the right messenger for this moment, but for the rest of us, Democrats and Republicans and everything in between, I think it's important for us to say, we won't stand for this. We believe in ballots, not bullets, and we need to make sure that democracy works the way it's intended to work.
Congressman, let's talk about your effort to push your comprehensive policing reform bill aimed at holding police accountable. What does that look like?
Well, it's a police accountability bill that's been introduced twice in the House before and passed the House twice before, actually. And so it's been around for a while, and we wanted to bring it back. We have 120 co-sponsors, and it's aimed at doing things like reducing the use of no-knock warrants and chokeholds, things that have led to deaths in cases unnecessarily. It creates a national registry, for example, for making sure that police who've committed misconduct, that the information about them is available to other police departments that might want to hire them. Limits the sale of military equipment to police departments because, you know, as we've been reminded in the past weeks with what's happened in Washington, we don't want military capability and weapons on the streets for civilian law enforcement. And it limits qualified immunity. There's a variety of things it covers. It's a fairly comprehensive bill, but you know, it's important for us to keep in mind that we need to make sure we have good police and more police, and because everybody wants policing, but we want it done in the right way.
How can you address qualified immunity? That seems to be an area where a lot of people say gives bad police cover.
Yeah, it does. I mean, it's a protection that the Supreme Court created a few decades ago. There are other bills that eliminate qualified immunity across the board for all public officials. Our bill, you know, took a narrower approach and limits this to law enforcement officers, just to make sure that they're held accountable for misconduct that they commit on the street. That clearly crosses the line. In order to prosecute police officers, for example, for excessive force, you have to show that they violated their training and the customs and rules in the police department in committing whatever the Excessive Force Act was. This eliminates people who are shielded who've crossed that line.
Congressman, it passed back in 2021. It passed through the House, but it has stalled in the Senate. Could you see it passing as Republicans control both chambers, especially in this current climate?
It's certainly going to be uphill, and you know, I think we have to make sure that we keep pushing things that we think are important and can make a difference on our streets and in our communities. The Trump administration is doing a lot of things to roll back protections beyond what Floyd's bill would fix, but you know, I think we have to make sure we have an affirmative agenda in addition to responding to, I think, the overreach of the Trump administration, especially on issues like cutting off funding for health care and the like.
Congressman, quickly, the government is facing a possible shutdown. Is there any plan to make sure that that doesn't happen?
I think we'll have to see. You know, I'm hearing things from the Republicans that some of them want to shut down, and at the end of the day, they control the White House, the Senate, and the House of Representatives, so it's really in their hands. And to the extent the courts might come into play, you know, the Trump administration has put 3 nominees, and Republicans control the Supreme Court too. So a lot of this is going to be in their court, but no matter what, the Democrats will be willing to work towards a bipartisan solution. But it's going to have to address the things that they've done that are damaging to regular people, especially from a healthcare affordability standpoint.
Congressman Glenn Ivey, thank you so very much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.